This is episode 80, all about injury prevention and how to choose the most effective prevention strategy for you. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the pod. I hope you enjoyed my chat earlier this week with physical therapist Vera Wyatt. That was in our last episode. I really enjoyed this one, and I think having the perspective of a PT who's also someone who's run a 4:18 mile and a 2:24 marathon is quite valuable. So I hope you check that out if you've missed it. I also want to take a quick moment and thank Gerard publicly in front of the entire podcast community for a review in iTunes that just really made my day. Thank you so much, Gerard. He said, Jason is the real deal in the running and coaching community. While his podcasts are accessible for all levels of runners, he is super helpful for those with more than a beginner's knowledge of the sport. Please venture to listen to the episodes that you think you may not find interesting. These have always included awesome nuggets of running and general health knowledge. I have learned something from every episode. Bravo, and thank you, Jason, for all the hard work. Well, Gerard, thank you for the review. And for everyone listening, I think there's a really great nugget in this review that I wanted to share. And that's what Gerard mentions about listening to episodes that you may not find super interesting, or it may not be a topic that is directly relevant to you. My thought on this is that if you can find just one piece of information or a nugget, as Gerard calls it, to apply to your running, it's going to be worth it. It is going to be worth it because if you learn just one thing and then apply it, then you are going to benefit from that piece of wisdom forever. So try listening to those episodes where you might not think that they're super relatable for you, but you may find just one or two of those golden nuggets that you can take with you and benefit from forever. Today, I want to continue that theme and talk about effective injury prevention. We're not going to go over ice baths or compression socks. Instead, we're going to talk about the strategies that give you the most bang for your buck, because some work better than others. Now, you probably know this already. I think it's common sense, and it's absolutely true that some strategies are far better than others. So, for example, let's use a crazy example. Let's say you wanted to retire early. You could clip coupons or get a really high-paying job, or you could win the lottery. Now, you can see how some of these are more effective than others at helping you reach your goal, of course. And my goal at Strength Running is to always show you the most effective approach, the training that is most likely to get you to achieve your biggest goals. That's why I don't really waste time on minutia. We don't chase shiny red balls like CrossFit Endurance or wonder if we should go keto or run all of our miles barefoot. We focus on what has been shown to conclusively work for runners. That's how I operate as a coach, and it's how Strength Running focuses on its runners. Now, as you can imagine, some training strategies are better than others. So if the goal is a fast marathon, for example, great long runs are far more effective than pool running workouts. If the goal is a fast mile, speed development is more critical than foam rolling or core routines. And if the goal is to stay healthy long term, a good dose of strength training is better than regular ice baths. Now, the other day, I was curious what you thought was effective for injury prevention. So I sent a question out on Twitter. I asked, what do you think is the most effective injury prevention tactic or strategy or idea to stay healthy long term? Now, there were a lot of really great injury prevention strategies in the comments. You can go on Twitter. My handle is JasonFitz1 and check some of that out. And you'll read about the importance of running slow on your recovery days. Very important. Core and strength training. Again, very important. Yoga can be helpful. And even using bubble wrap to protect yourselves. Helpful, of course, when you're running near the edge of a cliff in the mountains for sure. But honestly, most responses missed the mark. Most of these ideas missed the most critical element of injury prevention. It's not the strength training. It's not yoga. It's not core work. It's not running slow on your recovery days. The most important element is your training. It's how your running is structured, how it's set up and planned, because no prevention tactic will protect you from poor training. No doubt, your running, how you train, is the most important factor when it comes to injuries. As I'm really fond of saying, no amount of strength training will overcome poor training habits. And if you're in the gym religiously lifting weights in exactly the right way that a runner should, you can still get injured if your training is poorly designed. I received a question about strength training and injuries just the other day, and I recorded a video that talks more about this idea that training always comes first. Just search strength running on YouTube and you'll be able to find it. And this idea of training first, what exactly does that mean? Now, sound training includes many different aspects of running. It includes your workouts and long runs and making sure that they are appropriate to both your fitness level and the race that you're training for. Proper spacing of effort evenly throughout the week so that you're distributing that effort more strategically. Intelligent progression of workouts, overall mileage, and your long run distances. And correct periodization. So you're focusing on the right thing at the right time. So for example, if you're 18 weeks out from a marathon, you probably don't want to be on the track running a series of 400-meter repetitions at your mile race pace. You want your training to be periodized for the period of the training cycle that you happen to be in. And without getting these fundamentals correct, runners are always going to have a high rate of injury, despite any compression gear or strength training or 9+ hours of sleep that you're getting every night. When it comes to injuries, it's the training that ensures healthy, long-term running. And if you're someone that struggles with injuries, let's get your training right first. So here are some really important things to consider. First, always remember, training is always number one. How your running is structured is the most important injury prevention strategy that you can possibly implement. This includes periodization, progression, how you get from point A to point B, variety, and the structure of your weekly schedule. In other words, it's the training plan. Get a good one and learn why it's structured the way that it is, and that's the gift that keeps on giving. You can see a variety of training plans that we include in our programming at strengthrunning.com/coaching. And so after the structure of your training, the most important element of injury prevention is strength. Strength training toughens up your connective tissues, it boosts muscular strength, and it improves your running form. It's the armor that protects you from tens of thousands of high-impact steps day after day. And so if you're not getting stronger, I don't think you're training well. That's why I don't consider strength training to be cross-training. It's just part of the training that runners have to do. Now, after you're following a strategic, intelligent training plan and strength training regularly, what's the next step? The next step is time to clean up your lifestyle. We know that running can be hard. That's why recovery is so important. But recovery can be curtailed and injuries made even worse with a lifestyle that's just not conducive to running well. So try to focus on getting enough sleep, at least 7 hours, but probably more like 8. Eat and fuel well. This means good nutrition, focusing on whole, real foods and not under-fueling your long runs and your workouts. And then, of course, trying to reduce stress wherever possible, especially if you're in a really hard cycle of training. For example, if you're going after a personal best or you're training for your first marathon, now is probably not the time to engage in some other very stressful activity in another area of your life. Stress is stress. And so if we're introducing a lot of running stress, we should try to limit other types of stress. And all these issues will determine whether or not you're actually going to benefit from all that hard training. After all, if you don't recover and adapt to that training, then what's really the point? Finally, there's your mindset. Are you confident enough to run slow in your easy days, even if someone passes you or your training partner wants to speed up? Are you patient enough to skip a race that you're just not prepared to race well? Or patient enough to increase your mileage more gradually? Are you disciplined enough to run consistently, thereby eliminating wild swings in weekly mileage, and to do your strength work regularly? Most of the training errors that runners make are because we lack the mindset of a successful runner. We cause our own unforced errors because we think we can run further, longer, and faster than we really can. And these are the 3 twos: running too far, too fast, too soon. Being humble enough to acknowledge our abilities and our limitations is a really powerful way of staying healthy. Okay, now I have a bonus suggestion for you. It's all the other stuff. It's all the other strategies: the compression socks, the ice baths, massage, heat therapy, stretching. Many of these prevention tactics do help. Just like coupons are going to help you save money, but they're not the best way of reaching financial independence. These tactics are not the most effective. They work, just not as well. So it makes sense to try to prioritize the more helpful methods of injury prevention so that you can run more with fewer injuries. Okay, let's talk about how we can put all of this together. Now you know that how your running is structured is the most important element of injury prevention. It's going to prevent those 3 twos that cause training errors and mistakes: running too far, too fast, too soon before you're ready for it. Now, once you're following a sound training plan, the next step is to layer in strength training. If you're new to strength work, you can start with body weight strength training. But if you're comfortable with some strength workouts, you can take the next step with some real weightlifting in the gym. If you're curious what that looks like, go to strengthrunning.com/strength, and we have a whole email course about weightlifting that I think you're going to love. Next, clean up your diet. Get enough sleep, eliminate stress. You'll then have the tools, the headspace, and the recovery to train harder. And once you're training well, you're getting stronger, you're living a lifestyle that's compatible with training hard. Now it's time to work on your mindset. Be patient, be humble, stay confident in your plan, even if it's not what your friends are doing. Be disciplined to run consistently, because it's all going to pay off. And then finally, then you can layer in all those extras: the massage, the compression, the ice, and the other useful but not critical tactics. This is a layered approach to injury prevention, and it's very beneficial for a couple different reasons. First, you now know the best things to focus on, so there's just less wasted time. Second, you can start where you are right now and work on what you need, not what somebody else might need. And finally, a holistic, well-rounded approach is just more sustainable long-term. You're going to not only prevent more injuries, but you're not putting all your eggs in one basket and solely relying on compression or ice baths or any of the other smaller tactics that we talked about. All right, now I want to leave you with a couple resources, places to go for more information on injury prevention. And let's start with Strength Running's big resource page on prevention. If you go to strengthrunning.com/running injuries, and there is a hyphen in between running and injuries, we have an entire page with all kinds of content, video, podcasts, text articles, all kinds of great stuff for you about all different aspects of injury prevention. So about smarter training, getting stronger, learning from other runners who have been there and succeeded where you might not have, and also different tools and gear and books about injuries. There's a lot of material here. So strengthrunning.com/running injuries is kind of your one-stop shop for some of my favorite and what I think are the most effective injury prevention strategies. Now, of course, you can also get Strength Running's email course on injury prevention at strengthrunning.com/prevention. We go over common mistakes that runners make, case studies of runners who have beaten injuries after a very chronic cycle of injuries and then gone on to run really fast or have a long period of time of healthy, pain-free running. And we also talk more about strength workouts and what you might expect from really sound, effective prevention strategies. That's strengthrunning.com/prevention. I think you're going to really like that too. And then finally, if you do sign up for that prevention course, what you are going to get is Strength Running's little black book of recovery and prevention. Here I interviewed 9 elite runners on their favorite injury prevention strategies. So you're going to hear from people like Leadville 100 winner Ian Sharman, or you're going to hear from Dathan Ritzenhein, Joseph Gray, Amelia Boone. There's so many great runners that I pulled in to contribute to this little black book of prevention and recovery. So you will get that if you sign up. You can also just go to strengthrunning.com/elites to directly get that short book. I think you're going to like it. And what I really like about this is that there's some really common threads that are present in many of the responses from these elite runners. So you can go to strengthrunning.com/elites and go ahead and download that ebook right there. I hope this podcast episode was helpful for you in understanding kind of a hierarchy of injury prevention. What works really well, what works sometimes, and then what's a nice to do that's not critical, but can't hurt. I hope this perspective allows you to train a little bit more intelligently, to make fewer training errors that typically lead to injuries, and that ultimately it helps you run more consistently, have more fun with running, and get more out of it so that you can improve, get faster, run new distances, or just achieve any goal that you might have. So thanks again for listening. I hope this was helpful, and we'll talk soon.